Pranam Swamini ji.
Pranam, pranam. Namaste.
Swamini ji, we just went live.
Okay, let's start. Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Today is the last session of the 6th session series on Purushartha Nishchaya. I just want to do a quick recap. We started out looking at where we are, and where we are at is we are pursuing many things in life. And while looking at all these pursuits, we also looked at developing a little more clarity in what we might consider our priorities, the need behind the need. And irrespective of where I am in the world, whatever be the nature of my profession or the stage of my life, these priorities in the various areas, physical, social, emotional, intellectual, financial, are universal. Even a sadhu needs enough to keep the body going, Sharira Yatra to be going. So there are sadhus who will say, हम तो पैसे को नहीं छूते हैं. I don't even touch money. But somebody has to touch money for them, or somebody has to provide whatever they require. So all these priorities that all of us have in life, we look at whether what I am doing has a connection with what I am getting. There used to be an advertisement many years ago. It was an advertisement for Pepsi, the aerated drink, and it had Shah Rukh Khan, who, when the cricketer, the batsman, hit the ball for a six, so Shah Rukh Khan, he turned the board, and so actually the maximum that one can get in cricket, when you hit a ball for a six, is a six. You don't get more than that. But what Shah Rukh Khan does in the advertisement, he turns it around and he makes it a 9. And then the whole ad, the tagline is, Ye dil mange more. The heart desires for more. And this is pretty much our lot. That in all these priorities that I am pursuing, I have a great deal of clarity about. I want more from each of these pursuits than they actually can give me. So whether it is a prime body I am seeking, or a great career I am seeking, or the relationship with my soulmate that I seek, whatever it is, there is just so much that each of this can give me. And so to have the objectivity that just as on the cricket field, this shot will give you a 6, it will not give you more than that. A relationship will not give me moksha, a career will not give me moksha, nor will any object of desire give me moksha. So this calls for tremendous viveka, calls for tremendous clarity. And to also understand that while I am pursuing the many pursuits in life, I may become centered on certain things. I may be obsessed with certain things. And we also looked at if I am centered on, let's say, finance, then a lot of other things go out of my life. Likewise, if I am centered on bhoga, on all kinds of pleasure, then again, a lot of other things go out of my life. So the only way in which I can, in many ways, have it all is to have dharma as my center. The sense of values, principles, that which upholds this entire universe, that when I act in line with dharma, then I can take care of all of my priorities in the various areas of my life. Whether it be a social priority, an emotional priority, physical priority, financial, intellectual, so on and so forth. Because all my actions are in line with dharma. So then the question arises that what is it that underlies all these priorities? And we looked at moksha, what it is, why moksha? Is it the prerogative of a select few? And we know that that is not the case. That the only norm that I can judge for myself as to when I am truly, truly self-acceptable is in my moment of happiness. That is my norm. And so this is what I strive for. This is what I find very natural to me as a person. And so therefore, all the pursuits, the underlying need is of moksha. We looked at what moksha is, what is the nature of moksha, why moksha, and also how moksha. In the whole thing about how of moksha, we recognize that it is not an emotional problem I'm trying to solve. It is a mistake I have made with respect to my nature, and the only thing that requires to be done so that I may have lasting fulfillment at all times, in all places, in all situations, is for me to correct the mistake. Therefore, the shift from being a seeker of happiness to okay, it's still on. Yes, okay. And this is a very, very important shift to make from being a mumukshu to a jignasu. Because unless I make this shift, moksha will still be an experience for me. Moksha will still be a state unless I make this shift, unless I understand that it is an error I have made. And it is because of our dear Mataji Avidya. It's not that it is my mistake only. The whole of human race, or most human beings, have made this mistake. And the good news is that I can correct the mistake. Not after many lifetimes, in this very lifetime, here and now. And for me to be exposed to any knowledge, I need to be fully present. My mind has to be together. And the nature of our everyday living is that we are bombarded with all kinds of messages. From the media, from advertising, as we are walking along, a lot of it is subliminal. A lot of it also is there from our past, certain conditionings, certain notions of who I am, what other people have said what I am, and so on and so forth. And I want a mind that is present. Very often we find, suppose if I'm daydreaming and a friend walks past, I have seen with my eyes, I have seen the person, but it has not registered. And that person will, just do this in front of me and say, and then will also say, khayalo mein hai, are you in you're looking very engrossed in your thoughts. So my eyes have seen the person, but my mind has still not registered because I am elsewhere. And so for a mind that is fully present, when I am exposed to a means of knowledge, in this case Shabda Pramana, I want to be as objective as possible. To be objective, I have to first discover the limitations of subjectivity. That when I have these many errors of thinking, the way I see myself, the way I see the world, the way I see God is different. And so I may say, okay, each to his own. You can decide to have your own interpretation. So this is called, agreeing to disagree, where people are very afraid to take a stand. And here, we can't take that approach. In Vedanta, we cannot say, no, no, I agree to disagree with you. You can choose to believe, you can choose to not believe. Why? Because our commitment is to reality. Our commitment is to what is real, and therefore I will not stop short of discovering that reality. And so we looked at how in our day-to-day interactions, transactions, how we can develop more objectivity by correcting some of the errors we have about people, about situations, about how life should treat us, etc., etc. Today I want for us to discover God. And before we look at what the Shastra has to say, I want to talk about the difficulties that one experiences when we look at God as a belief. So now I have nothing, God is a word that a lot of us may have heard as we are growing up. And we may have been fed on many stories as well. Some of them are very good, so a lot of the stories in the Puranas, Mahabharata, uh, gives me some ideas about God. And as I grow up, my notions about many things change, but my notions about God may not change. I may still think of God as the vengeful one, the one who will take revenge, the one who will punish me. So a lot of the times when children are being brought up, they will say, nahi, nahi, Bhagwan takleef denge, ya Bhagwan will punish you. God will punish you if you don't do what you are supposed, you don't do your homework. So I may have grown up to become an adult, but my notion of God as the punisher may still continue. And if that is so, then my psychological reality is going to reflect my understanding of God and vice versa. So this understanding of God is absolutely crucial for us, for any human being, just for the sanity of the person. Because all of us, we want to live in harmony. I want to be in harmony with myself. I want to be in harmony with other people around me. And I want to be in harmony with, work situation, personal situation. Even to be in harmony with myself, I recognize very often a split. I know something, I know that the pani puri wala, the one who makes pani puris, is not very hygienic. Okay, I know that, but I will still get tempted to have pani puri over there. So there is a split between me as a knower of the fact that this person, I know that he's not hygienic, but I choose to ignore it. And then once I have a problem with the stomach, then I am willing to allow myself as a doer to be in harmony with the knower. So I experience conflicts in myself. I experience conflicts most definitely with others, because I might want to go on holiday to the mountains and my partner may want to go towards the sea. So we have to come to some sort of a consensus. So there is a conflict and it needs to be resolved. And at workplace, I may have a lot of suggestions to make, but my boss is this entrepreneur who breathes, smells, talks his baby, the company, the startup, and and is not willing to listen to any suggestion from anybody else. So this conflict that I am experiencing at all times in many situations demands responses from me. And so I look around, I may seek the support of people around me. I may seek the support of some elders in the family or some consultants, or nowadays life coaches are there. Um, Still, I find that they too are limited. So I fall back on notions that I have picked up about God. I'm still calling them notions, I'm calling them beliefs. And so God is a punisher. If that's my notion, then I live in fear. That's my psychological reality. I live in fear because I'm always thinking, oh, I'm going to displease God. I did not do my japa. I'm sure God will be unhappy with me. Okay, these are some notions that we still carry in adulthood. Or that, oh, I was supposed to do this vrata, but I'm sure God will be unhappy with me. So this is my equation with God. And it's largely determined by my psychological reality. So for a rogi, for a person who is afflicted, who finds himself to be a victim of either disease or circumstances, so I feel really helpless. And so Trahimam, Pahimam, God please protect me. God is a protector. Then if I am a bhogi, if for me my identity comes from the various pleasures I seek, then the world is available for my consumption. So anything that creeps, crawls, I'm willing to eat because it is for the sake of my pleasure. It is all about fine tastes in life, acquiring it and honing it and fine tuning it. So I'm willing to go to great lengths to taste the newest world fusion cuisine. I have no problems in it because it is about pleasure. And so God is the one who provides all kinds of pleasures to me. So the money that I seek, the artha I seek, the kama I seek, I obviously seek Bhagwan's help, God's help, to give me all these bhogas, these pleasures, these comforts in life. I want to mention Swami Chinmayananji today. It is his 99th birth centenary week. 8th May was his Jayanti. And this whole year, the Chinmaya Mission is celebrating the 100th year of Swami Chinmayananji. And he used to, among the many brilliant statements he made, there was one statement which I really like. And he used to say, referring to the tongue, just for 1.5 inches of flesh, you are willing to sacrifice uh, an animal. You don't care about the hurt that is caused to the animal, all for the sake of this 1.5 inches of flesh, referring to the tongue. And when you really look at it, in that light, the amount of trouble, the amount of effort that is taken to just satisfy the taste buds. See, once the food goes down the gullet, the esophagus, it's all the same. It doesn't make any difference. whatever, whether I've had khichdi, I've had dal roti, I've had Thai food, I've had Italian food, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. All that matters is where the taste buds are at. And this pleasure seeking will also lead me to have the notion of God as the one who is a bestower of all pleasure, all comfort, all money, all wealth. And so, therefore, my only equation with God is when I need all this. When I don't get it, then of course God is being partial, because He's not giving me what I want. I work so hard, I am a high achiever, and I'm working for all these comforts and pleasures, and God is not giving me. So I can get angry with God, because of course God is being very partial to me, not rewarding me for my efforts. Then there is the yogi who is more into asana and pranayama. So for this, the yogi may say, okay, you know what, all these things don't matter to me, all these pleasures, I definitely don't think I'm a victim of circumstances. And I make my own reality, so I pay attention to my thoughts, I watch them. But still, this yogi wants to get away from busy situations. People who are tamasic, the yogi wants to get away from. So there is a rejection of some aspects of the person's world, and there is an embracing of some other aspects. In the ashram, I remember one of the yoga teachers, um, when she used to do namaskar to the deity, to Dakshinamurti, this is Zanikati ashram, she was very, very particular about how she did the namaskar. So she's very, very body conscious, and she would, the way she placed her hands and the way she kind of adjusted her back, very, very conscious and very focused on that. So I used to just tease her. I said, are you doing yoga, or are you doing, are you doing an asana, or are you doing namaskar to Dakshinamurti? And I used to just see, oh, sometimes you may tend to get too body conscious in the name of being awareful. One can get too body conscious and forget why one is doing the namaskar. So this yogi, I recommend yoga for sure, Ashtanga yoga. I have nothing against yoga, but still I'm just highlighting the fact that even for a person who seeks shanti, who seeks, okay, I only want shanti, so that person is going to run away from all situations that have conflict. And life by its very nature has conflict. There is no escaping it. Life is not a spectator sport. A few days ago, I met a young man, and in our conversation, I just asked him, what kind of sport are you involved in? He said, oh, lots of things. I follow football, I follow basketball, I follow cricket as well. So then I asked him, how come you get time for all this? He said, no, I watch it on my mobile. And I said, what about playing the sport? He said, no, I get my fix by just watching it on the mobile. So I was very tempted to say, हमारे ज़माने में sport meant you got involved. You didn't just watch it from a distance and then gave expert commentary on it. Likewise, life is not a spectator sport. It demands I get involved. Even if I try and run away from all kinds of situations, the situations are going to follow me. And so for this yogi who is seeking shanti, God is the one who gives shanti, who gives peace. And so I strive to look for situations that give me or invoke shanti in me. All other conflict situations I run away from. So for the rogi, the one who is afflicted, the bhogi, the experiencer, as well as the yogi, the one who practices two limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, asana, pranayama, for all of them, they have a God of their own understanding. It's a notion, it's a belief. And all of them are limiting beliefs. What limits us is really our beliefs, our understanding of a certain situation. And because my understanding is limited, the way I choose to respond in a situation, the choice I make, is also going to be limited. At the same time, it is my choice that frees me from the limitations of the situation I am in. Let's say I'm hungry, so I look for food to appease my hunger. That choice that I have made, it is freeing me from the limitations of my situation. And so life continues. Now for us, God is not a matter of belief. Why? Because a belief is a statement without any verification. I may have a belief, and another 5 billion people on the planet have their beliefs. So, like what happens in a modern conference, you choose to have your belief, I choose to have my belief. The point is, does my belief work for me? And if it is subject to scrutiny, then the belief falls apart. Am I willing for that? Is my commitment to a belief which I have nurtured and cherished for years, knowing that it may not be based on reality, or is my commitment to reality? If my commitment is to reality, then I inquire into what the Shastra has to say about God. Even if I don't inquire into the Shastra, we are very blessed with growing. Most of us, we have grown in the Indian culture, or we have exposure to the Indian culture. And in the culture, there is a very unique understanding, there is a unique belief about God. And I want to share an anecdote here. There was a time when I used to wear a lot of whites, white clothes. And there was a particular place in Sion, a place in Bombay, uh, called Bhagwan Dress Materials. So I used to go there to buy my lot of whites. So once I sat in a cab, and I told the cab driver, मुझे भगवान जाना है. So very interesting. Now this person, so the moment you sit in a cab, you also notice what's there in front of you. And there was that sticker in which something was written in Arabic. I assume it is Allah. And so I guessed that he was a Muslim cab driver. So I said, मुझे भगवान जाना है. I want to go to Bhagwan. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, Bhagwan Dress Materials, I have to go there and pick up my whites. So he turned around and he said, Madam, भगवान तो सब जगह है. आपको कहाँ जाना है? He said, Madam, God is everywhere. Where do you want to go? And then we had a laugh, and I told him, I gave him directions to the shop. Now this is a Muslim cab driver in India. I doubt if any other cab driver in the world would have answered in this way. This understanding, we may call it a belief, we may call it an understanding, but this statement that he made is not an isolated statement. Little bit of travel in India, our own families, we know that a lot of people will say, हाँ सब भगवान की कृपा है. It is all God's grace. हाँ यह सब भगवान ही है. So this is something that is there very much in our culture. So we want to inquire a little bit into this. Why would I want to inquire into God? God could be some creature, some being sitting somewhere. I would want to inquire because I find that I'm helpless as a human being. If I am centered on my mind, my body, my senses, I recognize my limitations, I recognize my helplessness. In the way in which I understand myself, I find it to have limitations. All our search for the perfect partner, for the perfect job, for the perfect person, for having products with no defect. All of that is pointing to my search for the infallible, the one who is not capable of making any mistakes. There are no defects in that person, in that being. And unless I discover that that is my search for the infallible, I look all over and I'm very disappointed. I'm disappointed with myself because I find I have limitations. I'm disappointed with the many relationships that I have because sooner or later I discover limitations and I don't like it. I can't handle it. And given that we have this in our culture that Sab Bhagwan hai, all that is here is God, I want to inquire into it because of course I'm intelligent, I'm rational, I am scientifically minded. So I want to discover what is this? Why such a big deal about Bhagwan? And the Taittiriya Upanishad, in just one statement, says, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, ye na jatani jivanti, yat prayantyabhisamvishanti, tad vijiknyasasva, inquire into that. What is that? That from which everything has come. Everything, time, space, and all, my furniture, the people, bacteria, viruses, objects, space, galaxies, yes, that from which everything that I can conceive of and things I cannot conceive of, that from which everything has come. Okay, so maybe things may have come from this being called Bhagwan, but Bhagwan may have gone to sleep. No, that by which everything is sustained. That's our definition of God, okay? It is the most comprehensive definition ever of Ishvara, of Bhagwan. That by which everything is sustained. So we just look at our body, day in and day out, moment to moment, there is breath. Inhalation happens, exhalation happens. It's a very, very sophisticated um, assemblage put together. Very, very sophisticated. It's a very sophisticated, almost a chemical factory if you're looking at it from that standpoint. So a lot of chemicals are produced, things are digested, things are assimilated, things are evacuated, and it goes on and on and on. So this sustenance, I'm only talking about the body, the sustenance of the seasons, of everything is sustained by that Ishvara. Okay, so now if things are, perennially continuing, then we also find that leaves fall, the fall season. So leaves have the intelligence. They stop producing chlorophyll, and that's why we see the beauty of the colors. How come they have that intelligence? That it's going to be cold now, it's winter time, and we need to stop producing chlorophyll. But they have that intelligence, and that into which everything resolves. So if we are looking at pralaya, when the whole jagat as we know it is resolved, that too is Bhagavan. We see the cycle of creation and destruction in just a tree, and we're looking at this entire jagat. So this is our definition of Bhagwan, that by which everything is sustained, that into which everything resolves, and that from which everything is born. It cannot be as comprehensive as this. So this for us is Bhagwan. This for us is Ishvara. So then, the way I see myself, my identity, and the way I see Ishvara undergoes a certain shift. Earlier, I used to feel very isolated. I felt very alienated, because I was not understood. I could not find that one person or even a group of people who could understand me completely. And now, with this exposure that all that is here is Bhagwan, then I start to inquire further. Do you mean to say my emotions, my thoughts, this body is Bhagwan? Yes. No, but I am a self-made person. You don't know what all difficulties I have gone through in life. So many struggles. But I have conquered them all. So, you know, if, like a farmer said, if you should have seen when God was here, there was nothing. The land was barren. But when I came here, so now we see this harvest. So it's all my effort, really. So the farmer may say that, and there is a point. There is a point that he has, which is the potential for soil to generate. It required it required human effort, for sure. We're not denying it. But then, if I am saying that all that is here is Bhagwan, then that includes me as a person. Logically, it includes me as a person. But I don't feel that. Okay. So then, this self-effort I am talking about, what has given me the intelligence that I have? I may say I'm very intelligent. I've got fantastic grades, academic achievements, a great professional career, all because of my effort. What is it that was instrumental in me being at the right place at the right time? What was instrumental in me making choices? What was instrumental in the many people that came into my life, right from my parents onwards? So my parents being my first gurus, whether or not I acknowledge it, to the teachers in school, to the teachers in college, so on and so forth, who have taught me what I know, who may have also taught me how I don't want to be. There may have been some teachers in my life that I have had unpleasant experiences with, but they have taught me how I want to aspire to be or not to be. And the many, many people, the many situations that I have been, surely it is not my creation. Even before Newton discovered gravity, apples were falling on many people's heads. Lots of things may have fallen on many people's heads. Newton didn't create gravity. So as modern science narrative goes, he discovered what was already there. And this discovery of what is here, what I am claiming to be my effort, but actually, when I look at it, pretty much everything has been given to me. Even the choices, the ability to make the choice, the ability to recognize conducive situations in my life, all of that has been given to me. And in my understanding of what has been given to me, I will naturally have a question: who is the one who gave it to me? Were it my parents? Yeah, sure, my parents, they did. Because of them, this body is here. But, and they may have been the best scientists in the world. They may be gynecologists. They may be uh, what do you call that? They may be experts in biogenetic science, but they did not put this body together. They don't even understand many things about how the body works, let alone how the mind works. And all of this really implies that all that is given here is a product of many laws, many principles, which every branch of knowledge attempts to discover, whether it is chemistry, whether it is physics, whether it is biology, whether it is botany, whether it is psychology, all are attempting to discover laws, discover principles which have validity, which to test them there has to be the notion of replicability in experiments, and laws which are impartial, which are so-called objective. All branches of knowledge. In in reality, all branches of knowledge are trying to discover an aspect of Ishvara. Because for us, if all that is here is Ishvara, then obviously all the laws are also Ishvara. There is no place that Ishvara is not. There is no time that Ishvara is not. With this understanding, when I look at my mind-body-sense complex, a shift starts to happen. The self-condemnation starts to go away little by little. Because the more I recognize how all-pervasive Ishvara is, how can I condemn Ishvara? Because I have moved on beyond the notion of God as a protector. I have moved on beyond the notion of God as the vengeful one who will give me punishment if I do something wrong. The way I see situations in my life, when I recognize Bhagwan as the law of karma, again things start to shift. The law of karma is nothing but my punya papa unfolding. So all these fixed deposits that are sitting in my account, innumerable fixed deposits, they are fructifying in this lifetime. Some of it, I'm getting a lot of interest, which is punya, but there are some fixed deposits that are depleting. That might be considered as papa, unpleasant situations in my life. On what basis can I say there is punya and papa? The only basis I have is the law of karma. And that comes to me from the Shastra. That it helps to explain why I have gone through the situations I have, and why I find myself having certain parentage, why I find myself being born in a particular country, why I find myself working in another country, why I find myself surrounded by the people that I'm surrounded by. It's all a combination of what we call prarabdha and my free will, my freedom of choice. And so this recognition that all that is here is Bhagwan is one of the things we discover. It is not a matter of belief. So please don't take my word for it. It is something to be discovered and to look into, to be inquired into, and that is why we have the Shastra. Because the Shastra, although it is a means of knowledge, it knows that we will have our doubts. We will resist. You know, all of us are such rebels. We resist, and we resist with a certain force. We also resist facts. Until something is discovered as a fact, I will have questions about it. And the beauty of our tradition is we encourage questions. You know, when we look at some of the Upanishads, even for that matter Bhagavad Gita, it's always in the form of a dialogue. Because the student or the person who wants to know has a question, and the teacher has a commitment to make the student see what the teacher sees. Nothing short of that commitment. And so the dialogue continues until the truth is clear. So I want to now suggest that people, does everybody have A4 sheets with them? I had sent out a message. I'm not sure how many people saw it on that Facebook group, but in case you've not seen the message, doesn't matter. I want to suggest that we have A4 sheet or whatever sheet of paper that you might be able to have in front of you. and you can use a pencil or a pen. Okay. So does everybody have that sheet of paper and pen
Yes.
or pencil? Yes, almost everybody. Okay.
Yes, Swamiji.
Okay. So I want to suggest that so this is not an examination. Okay, this is not pop psychology test. Um, I want you to draw yourself and use all of the paper and and the many people in your life and some of the objects that you like or you don't like. Okay, so we're trying to draw yourself. Maybe you can draw yourself in the center and lot of and people in your life and maybe some objects that you like, you don't like. You can draw all of it, and I'll give you about 2 minutes for this. Okay, so 2 minutes are up. Whatever you we'll go with that. Okay, now I have a further question for you. Whatever you have done so far, which aspect of what you have drawn is pervaded by Ishvara? Okay, is the question clear? Which aspect of whatever you have drawn is pervaded by Ishvara and how? So this question, in response to this question, I want you all to make some small notes on the sheet of paper in which you have drawn yourself, the people around you, and some of the objects you like or don't like.
Swamini I'm not very clear about what I need to
So,
write.
yes. Okay, good question. So we have drawn ourselves and we have drawn people around us who are important in our world and also objects. Okay.
Yes.
Now, in the light of the fact that all that is here is Bhagwan, there are some things in what I have drawn which are pervaded by Bhagwan, by the laws, the principles of Bhagwan. So, so I look at what I have drawn and I look at whatever I have drawn, is it pervaded by Bhagwan is a question. So if I'm looking at the face, is it mine truly or is it pervaded by Bhagwan? In what way? What is the order that is operating? Is it biological order, physical, whatever it is, whatever is my understanding, I bring that to what I have drawn. Is it clear now?
Okay.
Okay.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I mean, first I just like randomly drew things over here. This is a
Oh,
sun.
can you just kind
Here,
of zoom in a little bit? I'd like to
sorry,
see.
sorry.
1 second.
Um,
Ah, okay.
Forgive my drawing, but okay, this is
No,
a
that's
sun.
fine. Yeah.
This is again like just nice, beautiful, cloudy day with the sun shining.
Mm-hmm.
Here, this is E equals MC square. Just putting all the scientific laws together.
Right.
This is like Tattva Bodha, etc. Like all the scriptures that I so cherish. These
Mm-hmm.
three people are like family.
Yeah.
Uh, so these are some of the things that I like, cherish, and would like to have in my life. So
Yeah.
the different orders that are involved over here is, for instance, we have the sun shining, which is again a function of the natural physical order of Ishvara, and
Okay.
it's always
So
nice
really,
to be.
it's just it's inanimate sun shining. How are we connecting it to Ishvara?
It's like, I mean, before I did not think about it, but since you asked us to connect it to Ishvara, I thought that, when we look at the
Yeah.
sun, when we look at the moon, any glory that is there out in the universe which we appreciate is
Yes.
only there as part of the natural order that we grew to appreciate.
Right.
So, then E equals MC square, like just everything that can be explained in terms of a formula, anything that could be understood is only
Mm-hmm.
possible because it is presupposed by knowledge that's inherent in our universe. So this is
Yes.
again the laws of nature, which are again a manifestation of Ishvara.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, the family is also part of the social order, the sociological order, which allows us to thrive as a species.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the things I don't like, I put below here. Like this is a bottle of absolute vodka, and just alcohol in general. I think
Right.
it's not a good thing. This is a
Okay.
chicken tikka. I'm against the slaughter of animals and eating animals.
Yes.
And very incidentally, now that you mention it, I find that both of these things go against the order, because here when we kill animals, we are going against the order, against the ecological order on many levels.
Right.
The
Right.
emission of carbon dioxide, global gases, global warming gases, and so on. And even
Right.
the drinking of alcohol, it goes against one psychological order because it numbs your senses, it numbs your ability to think, and your cognitive abilities are diminished. So
Right.
that's how I connected.
Okay. Okay. That's wonderful. So, is there any place, any moment where Ishvara is not in your world? Because this was like a very quick, 2-minute depiction, symbolism of you, people around you, your kind of mini world.
So to be honest, like while one studies Shastra, then it gives you an opportunity to reflect that whatever there is, there's Ishvara. But let's say if it's a bright, beautiful weekend, and I go
Mm-hmm.
out in the sun, many times I do forget this is all Ishvara's glory, and I just enjoy the very sight for what it is. But in
Right,
retrospect, when I'm reminded of it, then I can make these connections in my mind, uh, but retrospectively. So
right,
I did not
right.
actually think of it originally.
Okay, okay, great. Anybody else wishes to share?
Swamiji, may I say?
Yes, please.
Uh, I've drawn myself, though it's not very
No, no,
bright.
it's
I
not
don't think
quite
it's
yet,
it.
so it's okay. You don't need to justify
But
it.
yes, I've drawn family, I've drawn friends, I've drawn my the teacher in my life,
Yeah,
my books, my music, and I feel these are all glories of Ishvaras which are coming to you because of them, because of it. It pervades all your life, and
okay,
you appreciate the beauty around you, the natural form of your surroundings and your environment. And many times when you look into nature, you feel a sense of, you feel the presence of Ishvara in your life,
right.
and that's the way I see it.
Okay. So now I want to ask a question. These the jihadis, people
Yeah.
who really embody ahimsa. I mean ahimsa, and the ones who thrive on chicken tikka, and the ones uh, uh, who drink alcohol, and the gutters and the traffic jams. What about them? So it's all very nice to be very inspired in the presence of great beauty, and oh, it's easy to see that's glory of Ishvara. What about all this? Is it the opposite of Ishvara? So this is a question open to anybody, yeah?
I'd like to go, Swamini ji.
Yes,
I'm Shobha.
yes,
Uh,
Shobha.
Hello, Swamini ji. Namaste. Um, this is also part of the order. This is
Okay,
also part of the order, and this is also part of unfolding of Ishvara, just so that um, we understand the concept of right and wrong, just
mm,
to bring our attention and to help us grow in terms of what not to do and in terms of why we should follow dharma and what is adharmic and what is dharmic. These are all examples to show us that, to prove to us the path of dharma is a better choice rather than adharma, and the effects of adharma in true life. So similar to all our epics and our Puranas
mm-hmm.
of the battle between dharma and adharma, in real life also we have Osama bin Ladens of the world to help us understand the concept of dharma and adharma, and small things like traffic and an irritating spouse or irritating behaviors of people that just bother you are also part of the order for your self growth.
Okay, okay.
This is
Anybody
for
wants to contest that?
Yeah, this is for us to understand.
Right, right. So what will help us assimilate this?
Uh,
Because there are moments that I get really irritated and I get annoyed by all these people. So
Mhm.
what will help me assimilate this better?
To understand that these situations are part of the order as well. To
Mm-hmm.
understand each of these situations and to be able to deal with them better. So in the long run, these situations are in place so we can grow and learn from these situations, and primarily for self growth.
Okay, okay. Anybody else has anything to say?
This goes very
uh,
well with Swamiji's explanation of Puja Swamiji's explanation of anger.
Yes,
If you watch his videos or the two videos on anger, it explains to us how anger is part of the order as well, and that
right.
controlling anger is not the right way to do it, but how to deal with anger and how we learn from, you know, why we get angry and how we can introspect and learn and reflect from it and learn what are the triggers that bother us and how we can um, deal with situations such as this, and to accept everything that happens in our life as part of the order and are there for a reason.
Right. Okay. Yes,
Can I add something?
please.
So, I mean, frankly speaking, I'm not able to see that people, the jihadis or people who commit himsa as being part of the Ishvara's order. I see them as errors in the order, and which must be corrected.
Sorry, I'm just interrupting. You know, Satan is also a fallen angel according to Christianity. So, what were you saying in terms of, are they a part of the order or are they not?
I see them as errors in the creation, but somehow I'm not able to accept the existence of such errors.
Okay, okay. Now here I want to mention a very important thing, which is understanding is not equal to agreement. That some of them are misguided. I may not agree with what they are doing, but I don't have to agree also. I have to recognize that I may understand them, I need not agree with them. A lot of the times we confuse one for the other, and therefore I can be very rejecting of things that I don't like, people I don't like, and then I'm going to struggle with assimilating Ishvara as the order. Are you getting what I'm saying? So I may understand that people who are given to violence are also manifestations. They are also, they are people like you and me. Yeah, some of them have been misguided. I'm not agreeable to anything that they are doing, and in fact I may even want to support that they be killed, right? Because there is no scope for a dialogue, and I may even support the defense forces who are doing so much for all of us. As we sit comfortably wherever we are, our defense forces are guarding the borders. They are doing a lot for the country. I may support Himsa because it is required, but I understand. I don't have to agree, and if I don't agree, then I can do whatever I can to present my disagreement. But agreement or disagreement comes only from understanding. So we want to make this difference, that the gutters and the sewers and the people who I may think are errors in the larger order of Ishvara, they are still very much a part of the order. I seek to understand. The more I understand, I will choose appropriate actions. But if I react, then there is no scope for choice. There is no scope for sane action. Yes? I now, do you have another piece of paper? Yeah? Okay. So now I want, this is also a very quick thing, symbolically. I want to request you to draw something, but let me tell you a little more about it. Suppose you were a satellite, okay, satellite orbiting this earth, and you know, so if you're orbiting the earth and you are looking at Ganga Ji, the river Ganga, originating from where it is at Gomukh, the glacier, then down Rishikesh, Haridwar, and then moving into the plains, and then finally into Bay of Bengal, Ganga Sagar. So as you're orbiting, you are watching Ganga as it is emerging from Gomukh. What is past for you is what has already flown into the ocean. Your present is the rest of the Ganga that is flowing, from, let's say, Haridwar onwards. And the future is what is emerging from Gomukh. So with this sort of imagery, if you were the satellite and you're looking at your entire life, past, present, future, okay, in whichever order, or you want to look at it as future, present, past, you could choose a symbol of a river to represent your entire life, okay? And whatever you think are the highlights of your highlights, I mean, I would say you could highlight some obstacles and some, where you've got some support for the course to run its course, basically for the river to run its course. You've had some support. So again, I want to give you all 2 minutes to draw this, a depiction of your life, past, present, future, including some of the obstacles, including some supportive factors that were conducive to direct the course of the river. I'll request people to stop now. There will be a lot of detail that you can fill it in later. And I just want to check if there's anybody other than the ones who've already spoken who wishes to share what they have drawn. Yes?
Yeah, this is something I've drawn.
Okay.
So this is kind of a source my father and mother, and which is essentially God, and
Yes.
from where I'm coming from, and the support structure is the teachers, I mean, both
Mm-hmm.
academic and philosophical
Yes.
teachers, and friends
Okay.
and relatives and spouse,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a guiding factor. And
Right.
I mean, the water in the river can evaporate, and I see that as taking rebirth and
Uh-huh.
coming back again to earth, and
Okay.
finally I mean, getting to the ocean is I see it as moksha.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
uh,
Wonderful. Okay. So everybody's drawn their sort of depiction of, as they look at their life, yeah, past, present, future. Surely it would be better than a Bollywood film with enough twists and turns and obstacles and lot of conducive factors. So what I want us to do now is um, is close by holding that sheet of paper because it's a symbolism, and I want us to chant Om Namo Narayanaya. My namaskar to Narayana. Um, Nara is also Atma, Nariyate iti Naraha, the one who is always there. May take on another form, may not. Nara is also the Atma. So my namaskar to Narayana, and I seek blessings from Narayana for my entire life. If you wish, you can include some more details in this depiction. It's a fun exercise to do, and it will also bring to mind a lot of things that may not have been very obvious. And I would suggest that you keep it at your altar, because you are seeking blessings. If you have an altar, that is, you're seeking blessings for your life. Perhaps you're already doing puja or some other form of worship. This is another way in which, in symbolically, you are seeking blessings. So before we close, we can all chant Om Namo Narayanaya. We can all do it together. We'll do it 11 times. So, touch that sheet of paper, and then we can say that. Okay? Om Namo Narayanaya. Namo
Om Namo
Narayanaya.
Narayanaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Narayanaya.
Narayanaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Narayanaya.
Narayanaya.
Om
Om Namo Narayanaya.
Om Namo
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Narayanaya.
Narayana.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Om
Narayanaya.
Namo
Narayana.
Narayanaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Om
Narayanaya.
Namo
Narayana.
Narayana.
Om Namo
Om
Om Namo
Namo
Narayana.
Narayana.
Om Namo
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Narayana.
Narayanaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo
Om Namo
Narayana.
Narayanaya.
Om Namo
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Narayana.
Narayanaya.
Om Namo
Om Namo Narayana.
Narayanaya.
Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Narayana.
Narayanaya.
Om Shanti. We'll close, and if there are any questions, I'll take them after. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayaः. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.